So I've made around 10,000 cold calls at this point, and probably made around 300 sales meetings with it. So I want to share what are some of the most important things I've learned in that time, and like some of the most important objections you'll need to overcome in order to get the best results from your cold calls. So if you're starting, I would recommend you to have a script for this. It's always easier when you know what to say. It makes you have less anxiety than you can just follow that script and call someone up, and it might still be a little bit scary if you're not used to it, but it will give you something to hold on to. And then as you go about that script, as you learn how to use it, your nerves will calm down a little bit, and then also you will just find ways that you can interact or guide your prospect better and guide especially the cold call better. So just the more you do it, the more you will learn. And then one of the first things I learned in cold calls is just setting a meeting. Because it's one thing calling them up, but then it's another thing actually setting in the meeting in someone's calendar. And that's a skill I'm still refining, and lots of people are still refining to this day. Because the difficult part is like lead quality or like cold call quality. On the other hand, it's like also show up rate is also like an important thing. And like these two things, like they're the main things that you can improve with cold calls. And it takes time and skill to master these things and practice. So it's always a way that you can improve. One of the most common objections you will have in cold calls is time to think about it, or they just want to get out there. They're looking basically for excuses to not spend time with you, because either they have other things going on right now, or also very common is that they just feel uncomfortable. And there are both things we need to address and we need to work with. Making them feel comfortable obviously helps a lot, but then there's still the other part where they need to kind of compare the value of the call compared to other things they've got going on at that moment or in their life in general. So both aren't easy. You can do like basic things and like just be friendly and things like that. Common sense, social skills like that will get you a very good start. But if you really want to get the best results, then it's going to take more than just putting your best foot forward. You're going to have to practice a lot. You're going to have to analyze the way you interact with people, the objections they give you. You're going to have to also probably look into yourself, into your own mind, into your own personality to see if like there's things that you can improve, or like that can give people more space to buy or make you trust you more as like someone to buy from. So it takes a lot of work for sure. The most common objection is like time to think about it, and that's like obviously often in the form of, can you send me an email about it? That's one of the most common objections in a cold call. It's like a soft objection. And then what a lot of people will say is, sure, actually that's not the way I went about it in the start. Because I would like kind of like ignore that and then just push forward. That's one way you can go about it, but ignoring is obviously, it's a gray area. It's not always the best thing, right? So I think the most common PC way to do that is like, sure, I can send you an email. What exactly is it that you want to see in there? And then often they will tell you the things that are in the mind, the objections that they have. And then when they explain the things they want to see in the email, which is basically the objections they have or the things that are going on around what you said, and you can actually address that in the moment. Now, obviously, this is a bit of you're pushing things a little bit, right? Because they want you to go away. You're addressing their emotions, but you're still not addressing the fact that, necessarily they want you to go away. So it is like always a practice of like balancing that. It just takes a lot of like emotional management skills at the end of the day, because there's like tactics you use. You know, you can say, sure, I'm going to send you the email, or you can ignore and challenge them. It's also a valid tactic. But at the end of the day, it's more about the energy you have, the emotional awareness you have of the prospect, but also the emotional management you have over your internal state. The more you can be calm, the better. But it's not just about being calm. You also need to be able to control, in a way, or at the very least guide in a good way the situation, feelings, and what's going on in the prospect's mind. And if you can do that, if you can show you're not a threat, you're just there to see if your offer makes sense, that helps a lot. That's also something common in like sales psychology, is you want to make sure you have good ethics. You know, you don't need to be a priest, but it does help if you have good ethics, because that way people can trust you more, especially if you can show that they can trust you. That helps a lot. And if you can show that you're just there to see like if your offer makes sense for them, then they're like, most people are willing to explore that with you if you go about it the right way. So it's a lot of like mindset and like working on yourself as you do reps and as you grow as a cold caller and as a salesperson. That's very important. And that's something I've been working on in my sales calls in general in the last week, to deal with the time to think about it objection and send me an email. And instead of ignoring them, I'm now learning to make them feel a little bit more comfortable, putting them a little bit more at ease. These are not things that come naturally for me, so I have to practice that. For me, it's also difficult because when prospects are like saying or showing in some way that they like want to go away, it's like I get annoyed and it's like I get angry. And then that's one reason also why I can't put them at ease, because I feel like, well, you shouldn't be doing that. You shouldn't be feeling that. You should have respect because I'm going in and I'm trying to help. But, you know, at some point that makes sense. But at the other point, you also need to realize that these people, you know, maybe you have called like 100,000, 5,000 people, but for them, you're always like a new person. So they're like, you gotta consider things from their perspective as well. And it's like, they don't know you, they've got other things going on. And the best thing for you to do is just be realistic about that, and just be, you know, have empathy for actual things that are going on. And I'm not saying that you can't challenge that. You should challenge that if you have a good reason to. But it's like, just be a human being at the end of the day. I think that's the less you can seem as a salesperson, the less you can seem like salesy, like the better they're gonna receive that, right? So that's my opinion about that. So I hope that you enjoyed this video, that you learned something. Let me know if you have any comments or ideas. I will see you guys next time. Feel free to check out my next video as well. Cheers.